And finally, we're here at our main event of the night in the Nassau Veterans Coliseum, and that is the undisputed WWE champion that you can smell, The Rock, going up against the upstart Brock Lesnar. The Rock versus Brock in this epic main event clash of epic proportions. And this match was a pretty big deal at the time. Brock Lesnar debuting the night after WrestleMania 18, and he's been on a dominant warpath ever since like that point. He won the King of the Ring finals against Rob Van Dam. He beat the likes of Hulk Hogan and Edge to make it to this point at SummerSlam against The Rock. Meanwhile, yes, The Rock went on to beat Hulk Hogan at WrestleMania 18, but he was gone for 3 months since that point, doing promotional work for the Scorpion King. And when he came back, he won the Undisputed Championship against Kurt Angle and The Undertaker at Vengeance to set up this match against Brock Lesnar at SummerSlam. And for the most part, Brock had gotten the upper hand on The Rock, whether it was like getting his hands on The Rock or playing simple mind games with him. So this match meant everything for both of these men. For Brock Lesnar, it was trying to establish himself as, well, as the nickname it was at the time, the next big thing. For The Rock, it was establishing himself as, well, one of the greatest, if not the GOAT of WWE, despite his ascending popularity in Hollywood. So this match, still holds up as a really good SummerSlam main event. Not for like the in-ring stuff, but like how would it serve long term? Because Brock was very dominant in this match. And even when he gave The Rock some offense, it wasn't very long. It wasn't very long as his. And I do question though how they paced this match, because they didn't, and how they like choreographed this match, because the referee had many chances to eject Paul Heyman out of the match, but like there were like 3 times where Paul Heyman got involved, and the referee was just like, no, you can't get involved in this match. Like, why don't you just throw them out? Why don't you just throw out Paul Heyman? Like, why are you keeping him around? But I mean, I guess that was rectified with the fact that The Rock put him through the announce table with the rock bottom. So I don't know. So The Rock nearly put Brock away with the rock bottom and almost got the people's elbow in. But after a flurry of reversals, Brock finally finished off The Rock with an F5 that would cement him, at the time, the youngest world champion in WWE history. So this match was, well, I guess you could say, not the greatest of all time, like in terms of everything that happened, but this match was still very important. This match was all about cementing Brock Lesnar, as his nickname entailed, the next big thing, the next franchise star for WWE at the time. And in a main event match against one of the best in the business, he delivered. He absolutely delivered in dominating fashion against The Rock. Now, another notable thing about this match was how pretty much most of the fan base in New York, in that Coliseum, was turning on The Rock. They were booing him, and the fans basically were pro Brock Lesnar from start to finish, and they were chanting for Rocky at first, for the first good minute of this match, but then as the match proceeded, they threw their support towards Brock Lesnar, and you can clearly visibly see, if you watch this match, The Rock was getting pissed. He was getting absolutely, genuinely pissed. He was butthurt. Like I don't know if watching it at first, years ago, that The Rock was just like playing around, but no, he was seriously upset at the fact that the fans had seriously turned on him. It was like a classic example of what wrestlers today are dealing with. But as I will get into later, The Rock eventually handled the situation pretty well. So after SummerSlam, The Rock would cut one of those impassioned promos, try to cut one of his impassioned promos to his people, but the fans in the Nassau Coliseum would try to reject them. So The Rock, from that, who had promised that he was ending Sing Along with The Rock. So by ending Sing Along with The Rock when SummerSlam went off the air, that would lead to the genesis of what arguably is the best version of The Rock in 2003. Hollywood Rock. A sellout, selfish, asshole-ish version of what he had become, which paved the way for his return in 2003. And under his Hollywood persona, he would go on to beat Hulk Hogan in a WrestleMania rematch at No Way Out and finally beat Stone Cold Steve Austin at WrestleMania 19. And yes, while he would lose to Goldberg at Backlash before he went on to take a hiatus, Hollywood Rock was legendary. He would go on to cut these fantastic promos, bashing the fans, bashing each and every city that he went to, degrading the fans for practically turning on him. And he sold the fans turning on him very well. He took that beef the fans had on him and made it into an exceptional character in 2003 when he came back as Hollywood Rock. And let's not forget the Rock concert, the first ever Rock concert before WrestleMania. And who can you forget? The Sacramento Queens, baby. So The Rock, he would make occasional appearances after Backlash, and he would revert back to his babyface status. And then years later, he would go on to face John Cena at WrestleMania 28 and 29. And then, well, will we get that match with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 39? We'll see. For Brock Lesnar, he would become exclusive to SmackDown and keep the WWE Championship on SmackDown, which led to Eric Bischoff creating the World Heavyweight Championship for Raw. Now, Brock Lesnar would hold the title until Survivor Series, where Paul Heyman would betray him and align with the Big Show. He would go on to win 2 more WWE titles at WrestleMania, and I think it was SummerSlam. No, it was I forgot which pay-per-view it was next year. So either way, Brock Lesnar would hold 2 more WWE title runs before he left in 2004 unceremoniously at WrestleMania 20 for a failed NFL run, but a more successful MMA career and UFC career before he went back to WWE in 2012, where he is now. So overall, this match served as at the time, it was a passing of the torch for The Rock to Brock Lesnar. And while it didn't turn out to be the torch that Brock Lesnar would carry, this was still a very important match. This was still a very important main event because it needed to serve as whether Brock Lesnar could deliver, whether he could be ready to handle that torch as the main guy in WWE. And on that night, he absolutely nailed it.